Well, it wasn't raining, and now it's raining again. And I've just looked out across the field and seen something truly horrific. Don't know if you can see it, but that strip of black back there, that was grass this morning, and now it's mud. We've had an unprecedented amount of rain today. After I turned the cows out to graze, well, during milking, but after I turned the cows out to graze. And now I don't have pasture left in that strip. I made a mistake. I put the wrong line up. I put the fence that I put the portable fence line that I use for the back line because it's stout, it reels up nice, and it's long. And I accidentally made that the front line this morning. Left the back line from last night up, giving the cows a narrow block. Normally, that wouldn't have been an issue. Today, I guess I just ruined the field, or that part of it. Now I don't know if I can turn the cows out tonight, if they'll do the same damage. Now I can leave them that strip, but oh my God, it looks like it's tilled. It's black out there. I am so sick of this weather. I'm speechless. I really am speechless. The amount of hard work that I put into maintaining that pasture to grow it, to feed these cows, and that's what's happened today. Because I don't have anywhere to feed them down here. I have no silage left. I've got nothing on this farm to feed these cows other than that pasture and the ones they just ate. And now I've ruined a section. I am dizzy. All right, I'm walking out to check the field. You can't see it on the camera, but from there. And somehow they took out the fence, and now the heifers are behind where they should be. All right, they're not where they're supposed to be. This is wet. This is what the field now looks like. It will come back, but holy cats. Fixing this is gonna be a mess. All right, I gotta get these guys out of there and back up here, at least for the moment. Well, I'm winded. It took a bit of a chase to get them back on the right side of the line. Now, I'm not gonna mess with that line. I'm just gonna leave it for the moment. This is all because this morning I grabbed the long one I use as the back fence and I put it as a front fence. So I decided to leave last night's front fence as the back fence, which created this narrower strip than I normally would have left. We must have got over an inch of rain today. It poured. And so 15 cows just going up and down this narrow section with no back way to get out or do what they needed to do. And I got a poached field. So going forward tonight, because this is all the food I got, I may be able to buy some silage bales for the future, but I'm gonna go ahead, let's see. What's left out here between the stone island and the fence is roughly what I would have fed them tonight and tomorrow morning. So by tomorrow evening this time, I would have had to jump the island anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and run a line in front of the island. And basically, because it's so wet, and they need to eat, and they will eat it all eventually, I'm just gonna give them a triple space tonight so that they're not all bunched up damaging the ground. Now, this is also uphill, so while it's wet, and I can see the wheel marks from the work I did, the fertilizing spreading, while it is wet through here, it It's not the same level of wet as that area was this morning, even with all this rain. That area is where you see, and the other thing is, look, Joy's just galloping there. They're all marching back and forth. You can see her sinking in. It's the heifers churned it, I'm sure. Oh, now here's a little bit of wet ground. They just, this weather is really sapping my will to farm. All right, so there is a wet line here and a wheel rut left by the tractor. So I'm gonna give them just behind this. It's wet here too. I'm hoping that by giving them a bigger area and not bunching them all up, they won't do that, which is just they're going to follow me back and forth as I go running this line and then putting the fencing out, and they're just infuriating how much damage they do. I got no choice though. And this is the driest field I have. And the problem is the grass is all heading out, so it has to be grazed. If it was dry, I could have, cut this for silage. But, all right, where are we gonna go here? This is, I really not. One of the reasons I feel confident in trying this experiment and getting away with it and not missetting my grazing timing is that we know that grass takes 3 days from the time it is cut to the time it starts to regrow. And in that 3-day window, the cows can be out here in this area without setting it back. The worst setback is the poaching. So if they don't poach it tonight and tomorrow, with less rain tomorrow, if any, and then Monday and Tuesday are giving warm and sunny. So hopefully the rest of this will dry out. I did have a slight panic attack this afternoon, thinking about grazing the cows out here in this area, because it was only on May 13th. 14 days? No. Anyway, May 15th. It was 14 days since I fertilized this, and I want to make sure I'm going to come out here and test this grass tomorrow, just to make sure there's no nitrites in the grass from all that urea causing growth, because that can cause health concerns with the cattle. 15 days, it should have, any excess should have dissipated, and it should be going away. It shouldn't be an issue. But I just want to make sure, because this is an unprecedented spring. It's been unseasonably hot, and this week and today it's been unseasonably cold. So that causes problems in its own right. All the excess water probably flushed any urea out, actually. I mean, we do have a tremendous growth, but the stress on the crop, showing the fact that the fescue is going to seed or flower, it's going to flower, does not pleaseth me, because that means this crop, this grass, this field is stressed. So it's sending, it's depleting the nutrients in the forage to send the emergency signal of, hey, let's quick set seed as fast as we can. That's a huge problem. I've seen this grass hip height before it's flowered like that. So the quick graze the first time worked well, and we had some rainy days. So it was just my unfortunate error this morning of giving them, normally I give them a double space to graze so they can get off the grass that they're not eating and relax. Obviously, giving them just a tight lane like that, when it rained, I did not realize it was going to rain as hard, as long as it did today. So hopefully I can recover from that. I'm going to overseed it as soon as I can. I do it now, but I've got to get milking and just put some vetch and clover. Yeah, I've got a bunch of grass seed I can just scatter out there, hand sow it, and just hope that tomorrow's rain washes it in. So there's something when the cows come back. Of course, they stop now, but they all walk in a single file line, so they've cut a deep trench along that lower edge. You can see how 3 of them are lined up there. You can see the darkest trench right here along this line going out. Same thing along that line. I know that it's a trend for fishermen to put hooks in their caps when they're going out, but really putting a dairy hose hook in your hat is not the trend that you want to be setting.
No.
Out getting the cows for milking Sunday morning. It's kind of late. Just gonna see how they did with the block I gave them last night in terms of poaching it and what it looks like now. Again, that was like a triple size block. So I see manure pad on the ground. Obviously the grass is rich. That's a little looser than it should be, but it means it's high in protein. So that's good. It should be a lot of milk. Compared to yesterday, I didn't give them enough of a space, or by the time they poached it all, there wasn't a lot to eat left. They were sure down in milk last night and also looking hungry. I'm just gonna come out here and come on, Lonnie, milking. Let's go. Luna, milking. Mabel, Libby. Let's go. It is poached, but not severely. Places. It looks like they have enough to leave them here the rest of today. I do not want to have to come out here and top this field. More rain today, raining now. Our weather station is busted. The batteries are weak or something. It's not sending a recording signal. So I have no idea how much rain fell here, but the statewide average for yesterday was 1.5 inches of rain fell. So it's no wonder that got damaged. The ground was already soaking wet. I don't know when I'm gonna get into the fields to cut silage, because all my fields are soaking wet. And I need a second cut this year. So I can't send anything back. This rain is dire. This is was the 17th wettest April on record. Okay, I've given them the new section there. That's where they grazed last night, which still has viable feed on it. I just don't want them to be picking the bones off, picking the meat off the carcass, as it were. I'll leave them this whole area to the back fence. I won't bring up the back fence except maybe to the island tonight. I'll leave it where it is for the moment so they can clean off that, see how they eat this. I don't want the field any more poached than this. This is already too much right here. The grass is good and strong in this section and the next section coming up, but this is also where I double sowed the urea. So I'm gonna come in here up ahead of where they're grazing. I'm gonna take some forage samples and test them, make sure there's no high levels of nitrates, because that can make the cows sick. This all has to come off because it's going to flower. So maybe, I don't know what this is going to mean for the future, but graze them through here fast and furious. Give them more space. They'll poach it less. It just means we're going to burn through this. I was hoping to get 20 days out of this field, and we aren't even 3 days into it, and a big section is ruined. And after this is our main field. The other ones are accessories. They're there to buy a little time while this regrows. I don't have the land cleared that I needed to clear this winter. Didn't happen because of the weather. Now we got a problem with weather again. And so I don't have the grass growth down there that I need. I'm hoping to get some seed ordered this week. Hopefully it can get delivered quickly. That's summer annuals that grow fast in the heat, because this stuff, that's the other thing. It's nice and cool. It's great grass growing weather, and with this, you know, the rain, if I didn't have to harvest it, the grass would be going great. But as soon as it gets hot, it's supposed to be 80 on Wednesday, and that starts stalling this grass out. And then we're only June 1st. So come July and August, I'm gonna want some warm season grasses kicking off down below, because this thing's gonna stall out. And if we have a drought like we've had in August, you know, with no rain, well, it's better this year, so it's hard to say, but if we get a drought in August, again, this pasture will not grow. It'd be the ones down below that are the ones that we're surviving on. And if I can't get in, if I can't make quality silage, and a lot of quality silage, then we're gonna be buying it again. That's not necessary. Pocket full of grass. Collected this one. I collected this sample earlier. So this is a representative sample of the forage ahead of where the cows are eating. So we're going to measure it for not only, hopefully, now maybe this is too big a thing. Oh no, there we go. We're going to measure the bricks, and let's get a drop of this here. Just need a little bit of the juice on the bricks plate. And this measures the sugar in the grass and the amount of calcium. And this is really bad. There is 0 sugar in this grass.
Oh dear.
Huh. Well, I did take it early in the morning. So yeah, it's about 3% bricks.
Yikes.
That's not good. These are 4 on here, but they're for nitrates, to determine whether there's nitrates in the grass, which did I do the wrong side? No.
Says shake off excess liquid. Well,
there's no color change, so that means there are none.
It says wait 30 seconds.
Who had 30 seconds? Looks to me like it's 0.
No, it's only been 8 seconds. Okay, that's been 30 seconds.
Yeah, so no color change.
Is that good or bad?
That is good. That is very good. We don't want nitrites or nitrates of any level in the grass, because that could affect the cows. It would also affect silage. So that's why I got this, is for testing the silage fields to make sure that they're 0 in the grass. But it could just be because they've had so much rain that the grass is mostly water and less sugar, because that's what happens. Okay, so today it's the day that the 5 oldest calves are going out. Oh, it's way over there. We'll get it when we come back. So big day for the calves. They're trained. We're training to the hot wire. We're vaccinating them. We're weaning them. We're putting them out. So that's it's going well so far, and we hope it goes as well.
This will be off camera.
Catch and release.
This is not going to capture. Is it?
Super loud. $2.90.
Can I tell you how much I feel like copper tune?
Come on there, buddo. Gonna go meet your new friend.
I want as much room as possible there. You will never be seeing this. Come on, mister.
Come on, buddy. Here we go, handsome.
Oh, boy.
Go around the left side of the horse trailer so you're not dragging them through the rhubarb. Whoa, careful there, buddy. Come on. You're only half jersey, so you don't have to do any kind of flop. Epic failure. We've had to put flagging on all the lines. The calves jumped over the perimeter fence, 3 of them, out over. 1 went through. They ended up, the Fonzie, the bull, ended up out in the field with the cows, chasing them and running around. Tore all the field lines down. Tore most of the lines in this pen down, the temporary ones. We did manage to get them caught. We managed to get halter ropes on. We brought the other 3 back over. And they're all calm now, grazing, but we're leaving the halter ropes on them because if they try and run, it will trip them up and slow them down. And hopefully they can't catch enough speed to leap like gazelles. So we're just, we've been at this for most of the day now and had to rope neighbors in to coming to help us. Thankfully 2 were available and we're very appreciative for their help. Yeah, this has not gone as well as it has previously. And we thought we were so far ahead with the training lines in the barn. And just for an example of, okay, we got a calf on the run. All right, she didn't spook everybody else. She's fine, she's fine. I was trying to show you the comparison of Aurora next to Mimsy. Mimsy is a year old, and because she's a midget, she's smaller than our 3-month-old calves. Outrunning lines in the field while Allison milks. Let's talk a minute about compaction. The soil in this field, this big main field, is Peru stony loam, which is a well-drained soil with a depth of about 4 feet to clay. Differing levels of where that clay comes, it could be less, it could be more, there could be deeper pockets. In the entire 10 years we've been here grazing, before we moved here, this was a field of weeds. It had been plowed, roughly plowed, stones everywhere, furrows, it was growing weeds. So the only option I had was to till it and pick the stones as best I could. And I didn't even roll it or level it. I had no tools and no tractor to be able to do, my 40 horsepower tractor was vastly underpowered, even for the tiller I borrowed. I had nothing proper. And I don't even think anywhere around here has. There's one place that may have big tillage equipment that would do this field right. And we didn't have money to pay anybody to do it right. In fact, the farmers who had been farming this, who left it in such a dire state, were the ones I would have had to borrow or rent the equipment from. So I wasn't feeling the love, as it were, as I worked on this field. Now, in that time, this has been a highly productive field. It's lumpy and bumpy and there's stones in it and it's a pain to mow, but that's why we graze it. But it has been a highly productive, excellent field this whole time. There's one wet patch up there, which is a very different kind of soil and it's very compacted. I knew that. Then we come to this year, where it has been unbelievably wet, unbelievably early. The grass is growing great. I was able to graze a month earlier than we had in previous years, and that may be part of the reason we're experiencing some of the problems that we're experiencing this year, but really it is just because as well drained as this field is, it needs to be drained better because we've got standing water down there like we've seen. We've got that area that the cows churned up yesterday. They're pugging up everywhere they walk along the fence lines. But then We've got tremendous grass regrowth because I fertilized, but you can see where compaction is affecting the grass growth, because you can see in the tire tracks, you can even see them right there and there. The grass is slower to rebound than on anywhere around it. And that's due to compaction. And I now have a vast section out there where the cows have compacted it every, normally in a normal wet year, we might expect 2 to 3 hoof prints in the soil a square meter. Now we've got more like 100 a square meter. And there's, in between there is grass coming back, but it is not ideal. That section of the field is like 40% reduction in grass growth now because of the pugging. And that was due to 1.5 inches of rain falling all at once. And I fear that that's going to become a new normal, that we're going to have, as the temperature increases, for every degree Celsius, you get 7% more moisture in the air. So years are going to be wetter. We've got to find a way to graze and got to find a way to fix the compaction readily, because now that isn't going to grow well the rest of the summer. And so we've got to find a way of affording some tillage tools, because the one that I think, I'll insert a photo here, the piece of equipment, which is a spiked aeration roller, that I think will be best for all of our fields because of the amount of stone in them, has gone up $4,000 from the last time I priced it. And they just don't, I put out a call. The nearest one is 7-hour round trip. So it'd be 14 hours of seat time to borrow it and return it, or rent it and return it. And then getting it here and having a time frame where I don't know when I could do the work because of work schedule, but also because of weather and soil conditions. So I'm really thinking that we're going to have to invest in that piece of equipment. And I need to find a way of doing that, because that would greatly improve everything if it works as stated, and I believe it will. But then I also need some different tillage tools. I mean, just look how wet that is. This is the lane. I expect it in the lane, but everywhere else is not ideal. So yeah, you can see here where the wheel track is, and stuff just isn't growing back well. Here's another wheel track. You can see it follow it all the way along. That is, that grass is growing at a lower rate than the grass on either side of it because of compaction. There's another wheel rut. Barely dimpled in. I mean, that isn't even, a knuckle depth. And it was enough compaction to slow down the growth. So that's what we're fighting this year, and I fear, unless the rain stops soon, and we're going to get more this weekend, we seem to be in a pattern of Friday, Saturday, Sunday rain, Monday moderate, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday clear, and then back in. It's been that pattern for 17 weeks now, I think. And the amount of rain that's fallen is absurd. And the ground just isn't drying up now. It's supposed to be windy today, I thought. We'd wake up. A sunny day like this, mild, with some wind, will help dry things out. And hopefully by Thursday, I might be able to get and spread some fertilizer out there to get the next round growing. I desperately need to spread manure, just not only to get rid of it and make room for the stuff that I need to move out of the bale storage area, but also get it on the ground, get it working, get that NPK profile built back up. That helps me reduce the amount of urea I need. And it's a much slow, it builds soil organic matter. Manure is a slow release component, and I find that spreading manure mid-season, mid-grazing, after the cows have grazed a section, get it on as soon as I can. Then by the time the grasses grow, it doesn't affect their grazing on the next round, and it's in there and it's working and it's starting to go to town. The worst combination this year is if it were to go from this wet to then immediately a period of long-term no rain, because what I learned in the summer of 2023, when it rained solid from about June to September, and there were a few weeks of okay weather, but it really was incredibly wet and rained all the time. Couldn't make dry hay. What we learned was too much rain, it is as bad as not enough rain on the plants, maybe worse. I mean, so too much rain washes the nutrients out of the soil, causes the grass to grow rapidly, but it's very watery, like we saw in that bricks experiment, that the sugars are low. Now, I would have expected the sugars to be high in a normal year, certainly above 4%. So too much water causes that, but it also, because the grass's roots are sitting in high water table, they start to die off and contract. And so the plant becomes less vigorous. Now, the same thing happens to some extent in a drought. The roots start self-pruning and dying off because there is no moisture on the surface. And some roots are deeper, but the grasses that we grow here tend not to be very deeply rooted. Sorry, I'm putting in fence posts. So again, that's where the dandelions are really important. The clovers, red clover has a deep taproot that goes down, but in a wet year, those are withdrawing because the water table, it gets down there and there's too much moisture. In a drought, that's okay. But now, because the roots have died, because the water table's too deep and contracted, if we had a drought all of a sudden, there's no roots to drive down to get the moisture. So it's a tricky balance. Now, grass, if you've seen some of my other videos, is a case of as above, so below. The amount of growth you see in grass is proportional to the amount of root depth below it. So you can see that there's a lot of short grasses here. That means those roots have all died back. They're not coming right back up. Some of these other plants, some of the fescues and the orchard grass have much deeper roots, much stronger ability to withstand the wet. But, the reason why your lawn goes brown in the summer is because you're cutting it to 2 inches. And so that means there's only 2 inches of roots below that, give or take. And so that 2-inch depth just isn't enough in a dry year to get the moisture that's down at the 6-inch level. So it's definitely better to cut your lawn less often and higher in a drought. Otherwise, you're just gonna kill it off and just have brown mess. So that's what you gain from knowledge of pasture management. Some of these grasses are good. They're helping hold the soil moisture in a drought. They're spreading, they're spreading their matting type grasses that help withstand the impact of the cow's hooves. But other grasses are not. And it's that balance, and you can't just change the composition of your field. I mean, the field will change composition on its own by self-selecting, or the cows overgrazing a certain species because it tastes better to them than others, or when you graze it at the time of year. But you can't just magically alter the composition of your field to suit the weather. So it's just a matter of dealing with it. And honestly, right now, I don't know how to deal with it, given how much damage is happening out here. You can see the space there Right there, that light strip going out was under the line. The dark strip there going out, there, going up. That's where they walked along the line and made it muddy. And you can see the spaces in between the grass. It's not going to be ideal for the third round on this field if we get that chance, if it ever stops raining. And that is still leading me to question what to do with this very wet section here. That is unbelievably damaged. And at the moment, I have thoughts and ideas, but I have no equipment, and it's too wet to even consider dealing with it. It's got to be much drier before we can fix any of these issues.